Unbelievable. We're in New Hampshire. Joining us now, though, without further ado, she's not here to talk about politics because she is in the White House, senior advisor to President Trump. She was part of the advisory team, senior for impeachment, former Republican Attorney General of Florida, and an FOJ, guys, friend of John, Pam Bondi. Hey, Pam, thanks for being with us.
Hey, John, how's the weather in New Hampshire?
It's cold.
Cold.
That's all I can say. It's cold, and there's black ice. 3 times when I got out today, they had to tell me, watch your step, and I'm like, what? I don't see anything. And 3 times I almost fell down, but somebody was there to pick me up. So, but it's very cold.
Can I just say, we love Pam in New Hampshire. Pam, you are terrific. How you conducted yourself during that impeachment trial, I can't even imagine what it must have been like to be up there and looking through your eyes and seeing what you were seeing in front of you and listening to what you were listening to. Yet you maintained your composure and you really kicked ass in there. You really did a great job.
Thank you, my dear friend. Thank you.
Well, Pam, the whole team, I tell you what, you guys did a fantastic job. And you know, when this thing started, I remember you saying we need detail, we need specifics, and we need Republican unity. And you just about had that. I mean, this thing was a partisan witch hunt from the get-go, except obviously for Mitt Romney at the end. That's a separate issue, and I've called him a rat weasel. I can't stand the guy, so let's not go there. But kind of sum this up. Where do we go after this impeachment? I mean, give us your assessment of the several days at the end here, Pam.
Well, from day one, it was unfair. As you said, they've wanted to impeach President Trump since the day he came down the escalator and announced he was running for president and going to be president of the United States. So we go to the House, have a completely unfair process. Then we move to the Senate, have a fair process, yet the Democrat House members complained about that the entire time. They kept filing motions, they wanted to add witnesses, and all that should have been dealt with in the House, and it wasn't. And so we followed the Clinton rules, almost identical to the Clinton rules, very similar, and the president was given a fair trial. And I hate to even say a trial. It's absurd that he was even put through this. It's really sickening, not only for him, his family, but for our country and our democracy, that it went that far by a bunch of partisan Democrats. That's all I'll say. But
well, look, so and everybody saw that, and the thing turned into just a Democratic clown show there at the end. And what bothered a lot of people is in the 3-week delay, Adam Schiff and Jerry Nadler, their managers, along with Speaker of the House Pelosi, they were saying over and over and over, we have overwhelming evidence. We have overwhelming evidence. This is a no-brainer, overwhelming evidence. Then they get to the Senate, and they say, well, we don't really have enough evidence. We need more witnesses. How does that reconcile?
It doesn't. And all the Republican senators understood that, except one, of course. And it doesn't reconcile. It never did. And again, this became a purely political process. It was Democrats versus Republicans. And it was just a horrible process from the start. Adam Schiff got up there and lied. I mean, he lied like he did in the House. He lied in front of the Senate. And, you know, most people were smart enough to see through that or cared enough to see through it. The president was never going to be convicted. And Pelosi recently even said that. They knew he would not be convicted, yet they continued with, think of the millions of dollars all the time, all the taxpayer money that this took away from our country because they had to have this completely partisan witch hunt, knowing that the president would never be impeached in the Senate. And so they just continued on with it, and Pelosi's out of control,
right.
And she ripped that speech in half. The damage that she did to our country by doing that, she looked like a petulant child. And Schiff and Nadler, through the entire proceedings, they were critical of the entire United States Senate. They basically put the Senate on trial. Elizabeth Warren asked a vicious question about Justice Roberts, who was presiding over the hearings.
Right.
So it was just a sham process from day one. But at least the president got to be heard in the Senate through his lawyers, had a fair proceeding, and justice was served. But we never should have gotten that far.
Pam Bondi, what was your reaction when Nancy Pelosi tore up a speech? And obviously, Pam Bondi, that was choreographed, because now we've all seen the photo clip where there was a scissor cut through the first about a half inch of it to be sure that she had the hand strength to tear it all. So that was obviously rehearsed and choreographed. Like, it's not something she did impromptu. I mean, how does that play? I mean, when you saw that, honestly, what was your reaction?
Not surprising, knowing her, knowing what she did. It's a scam the whole way through to what she did that night. She has been dead wrong on every judgment call, if you can call it that. Every strategic thing she has tried to do to this president, she has been wrong, and it's backfired. Every single thing. Not only were those pages ripped so she could easily tear them in half to make a dramatic scene, is what she thought in front of the country to see, but remember when she was stacking them, she was dividing them into groups. Mm-hmm. So she would have enough pages to rip it. So she was stacking them in different directions throughout the speech. So yeah, clearly the entire thing was choreographed and planned, but again, once again backfired on the Democrats. It made her look horrible. Doing it. If they don't like honoring Rush Limbaugh, who is a patriot, who has cancer, right, and very sick, let them fight about that later. But we had a child up there, we had a military family. You saw all the great things the president's done. She shredded that entire speech. So those are all the people that she was hurting as well by doing that in her mind, and it just backfired on them. Once again, they failed, and the president failed, and he'll continue to, because he's a great president and doing great things, and they can't handle the fact that he's showing the country in the State of the Union. They wanted him to be impeached for the State of the Union, by the way. That was why the vote had to wait until the next day. Remember that, because they wanted him to be under impeachment during that speech, and what did he do? He hit it out of the park.
Do you think this has backfired on the Democrats now and their ability to govern in the House, get anything done?
I do. And I do see a more unified Senate than I've ever seen, minus one. But that was really the best thing of the proceedings, was watching all the senators in the Republican caucus work so well together and be truly united, because they know what was happening was wrong. And on the other side, seeing the Democrats not care about the facts, not care about the truth, knowing what they were voting for was completely wrong. That could happen to any president in the future, and it would have happened to any president in the past. They could have cared less because of their disdain for President Trump and all the great things that he's done for our country.
Look, I think what they were trying to do was continually get earned media to trash the president on an eye on 2020, because they know in a normal circumstance, Pam Bondi, they're not going to beat him. I know you're not on the economic side, but you're a senior advisor to the President of the United States. Pam Bondi, the January jobs report just out. We added another 225,000 jobs, beating all economists' expectations, Pam, again, including 109,000 new jobs for women. So that was that was just half. Since Trump's been there, he's added 7 million jobs, 500 new manufacturing jobs. By the way, it was Obama who said they couldn't come back without a magic wand. 4 million jobs for women. I can't find this in the news.
No. Unemployment is at the lowest it's been in half a century. Wages are growing fastest in a decade. 2.4 million Americans have been lifted out of poverty. I mean, look at USMCA, 176,000 jobs, $68 billion. Tried to hold that through, but that didn't work. Look at our safer communities. Look at the NDAA, $738 billion of defense spending. But yeah, you can the president for opioid crisis, for anti-human trafficking efforts, everything for our communities, for our military, for our police officers. You don't hear any of that from the Democrats. because he is so successful, and he will not be deterred and he won't be derailed. And that's what they have tried to do since the day he took office. And it's truly a joy to watch him every day because he remains focused and steadfast on his goal of looking out for America and the American people.
You know, Pam, this is Al. You know, when you listen to the State of the Union address and the president was going through those accomplishments and one after the next, and people were standing up, most of the people were standing up and clapping, you can see how Nancy Pelosi was becoming unhinged more as time, with every accomplishment, she was just getting driven down and driven down. Instead of being happy as an American, her and her cohorts there, their hatred for him is more strong than their love for their country. Mm-hmm. So when he was rattling off the accomplishments, she became so unhinged that I can see how she couldn't just walk out of there. She had to do something. And that stupid ripping up of the address.
That was an embarrassment. It was just an embarrassment.
But I think he totally unhinged her.
Yeah, let me take that a step further. Remember this, those documents, they're not hers. Those are an official document. The president signed those. That's not a photocopy of anything. That was an official document that he signed, handed to her. It should go in the House archives. So we have Lee Zeldin and Matt Gaetz. We have several congressmen who are looking into that. So she needs to be really careful with what she did. You know, her stunt.
I'm sure Schiff and Nadler are looking into that right now. Schiff and Nadler must be pursuing that.
Yeah, I tell you what, Pam, it's an embarrassment. You're on the John Fredericks Radio Network. You're Godzilla of Truth in America. I'm your Oracle of the Deplorables. We're live in New Hampshire this week. Great to be here in the 603. I know Pam wishes she was here instead of balmy 50 degrees Washington, D.C. Pam, let me ask you the $50,000 question, okay? And
sure.
I had a chance to sit down and talk to the president on Monday. He was very gracious in having me in, and that was wonderful. But I got to ask you the $64,000 question. The Trump base has been very upset with the fact that we've not been able to surround the president in the White House with people like Pam Bondi, okay? And I don't want to go through the names. We've been through all of them, the John Boltons, etc. And so we're done with that. And so you have been such a tremendous advocate for the president. You're a believer in his American First policy agenda. You articulate it with passion and substance like just about as good as anybody we've seen. Now that impeachment is over, are you going to stay in a role in the White House as an advisor to President Trump?
Listen, the president he has surrounded himself. He really has now with great people, and it's been a joy to be on the inside. Tony Saig and I came in there as special government employees with one mission: to get the president through impeachment and to work with that incredible team he has in place. Pat Cipollone as White House counsel is off the charts. Mick Mulvaney is doing a great job. You've got comms with Stephanie Grissom. I could go through the vice president's office with Mark Short. I mean, Ryan and NSC. The president has surrounded himself with great people. Larry Kudlow, economics. I mean, Jared Kushner, second to none.
Navarro.
And Ivanka.
Don't forget Peter Navarro.
He's off the charts, too. So, I mean, I could name everybody in that West Wing who the president, and I'm sorry if I'm forgetting anyone, there are so many great people around him, and he's doing a great job. Tony and I came in there with a mission, and I feel we've both accomplished that, and we're leaving now. I can't wait to be active. I'm there for one more week in the White House, and then I plan on going back on the Women's Advisory Board for the presidential election and doing all the fun campaign things that I left behind to come in and do this mission. We're thrilled for that. The White House is doing great.
All right, so you're going to leave after a week and take another role. Of course, that'll give you the freedom to then to be in part of the campaign and engage, which obviously as part of the White House senior team you can't do. So we look forward to seeing what that new role is.
Thank you. And Kellyanne Conway, there's no better person alive than Kellyanne Conway. She can go toe-to-toe with anyone in this country, and she's just an amazing woman.
Well, it seems that from the early days where the president was surrounded by a lot of people in the West Wing that didn't necessarily share our degree of enthusiasm, I'll put it mildly, for his America First agenda. It seems now that has cycled out, and he's put a team together that's really, really awesome. But you guys did a masterful job in beating back this impeachment ruse, this clown show they put on, and being able to show the country for the scam that it was. And it was really a scam on everybody. So I congratulate you, Pam, for that and for your hard work. And look, I mean, you've got a lot going on, and I know when the president called you in as a special assistant for this, you had to give a lot of stuff up and leave your family. So you did a fantastic job. Thank you.
And John, we were just a tiny, tiny part of that. The teamwork within that White House is truly amazing. To be a part of that and watch those people, all of those great people work together was really a great thing.
Pam Bondi, former Republican Attorney General, Florida, now for another week, special assistant, senior advisor to the President of the United States, going back into campaign mode and the private sector, if you will. And that'll be happening in a week or so, as I understand it. Pam, a week or so?
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Pam Bondi.
Thank
Always
you.
Great to have you on, Pam. You've been coming on my show for
more with you.
I know, right? Now that you're not under the constraints of the White House, we can talk about politics the next time you come on.
In a week.
Then we can talk about then we can talk about Iowa. We can talk about New Hampshire. We can talk about the debacle. We can talk about Mitt Romney. I can't wait till next week. We can talk about all this stuff. Pam, thanks for being with us.
Take care.
Thank you. Make me laugh.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Pam Bondi. Let's go to a quick word from our sponsors.